Marcus had lived alone for 9 years. It was quiet, predictable, safe. He worked from home, made the same breakfast every morning, and walked the same route every evening. Nothing unexpected ever happened, until the night he woke up at 3:14 a.m. to a soft knocking sound coming from inside his bedroom. He opened his eyes, confused. There was only one door in the room, the one that led to the hallway. But the knocking wasn't coming from there. It was behind him. Marcus slowly sat up. The moon outside cast a pale light across the floor, just enough for him to see shapes, shadows, outlines. And that's when he froze. There was a second door in his room. It stood in the far left corner, old, wooden, and warped, like it belonged in a house centuries older than his. He knew it hadn't been there when he went to bed. He lived alone. He would have noticed a door. The knocking came again, 3 slow taps. Marcus reached for his phone. No signal. The screen flickered and died. He stepped out of bed, feeling the cold floor bite into his feet. With each step, the knocking stopped, as if whoever or whatever was inside was listening to him approach. When he finally reached the door, he pressed his ear against the rough wood. At first he heard nothing. Then, faint breathing, deep, wet, rattling breaths. Someone was on the other side. He whispered, "Who's there?" The breathing stopped. A moment later, a voice whispered back, his own voice, "Let me out." Marcus stumbled backward, shaking, but the door handle began to turn slowly, deliberately, as if testing whether he would resist. He rushed to his real bedroom door, but it wouldn't open. It felt glued shut. He slammed his shoulder into it, screamed, kicked. Nothing. Behind him, the old door creaked open. The smell hit first, rotten, humid, and sour like wet soil and decay. Something stepped through, still hidden in the darkness, but tall, far too tall to be human. Its nails scraped the wood as it approached the light. Marcus grabbed a lamp and swung it wildly, but the creature moved too fast. It slammed him onto the bed, pinning him like a rag doll. As he struggled, its head leaned close to his, and he saw its face. It was him, but stretched, twisted, rotting. His own corpse, smiling. The creature whispered, "I've been waiting for you to open the door." Marcus screamed, but the creature shoved him backward, straight into the old doorway. He fell, tumbling into darkness that seemed to go on forever. The door slammed shut behind him. The next morning, his bedroom looked normal, just one door. His bed neatly made, no sign of Marcus. But every so often, at 3:14 a.m., neighbors hear knocking coming from the walls of his empty apartment. 3 slow taps. And a voice that sounds like Marcus whispering, "Please, let me out." Hector had lived in the old apartment building for only 3 weeks when he discovered the basement. The landlord never mentioned it in the tour, and none of the tenants seemed to use it. The door to it, a heavy metal fire door at the end of the hallway, was always locked. But one night, when Hector came home late from work, the door was standing open. A faint light flickered inside, like a dying bulb struggling to stay alive. He should have ignored it. He knew that. But curiosity tugged at him, the same way it had always gotten him in trouble. He stepped forward and peered down the concrete stairs. The basement was bigger than he expected, a wide, empty space with pillars and rows of old storage units. Something was dripping, slow, steady, echoing. Hector moved down the stairs and scanned the room. The flickering light came from a single bulb hanging above a door he had never seen before. A black wooden door with ornate carvings, completely out of place in the industrial basement. Its frame was cracked, as if forced into a space it didn't belong. He approached it cautiously. Carvings of twisted faces and screaming mouths spiraled around the edges. The doorknob was brass, smooth and warm to the touch. Hector whispered, "Who the hell put this down here?" That's when the knocking started. 3 slow taps from the inside. He jumped back. The sound echoed through the basement like the room itself was hollow. Hector's instincts screamed at him to run, to get away, to go back upstairs and forget the door existed. But he didn't. He leaned in, compelled by a force he couldn't explain. The air around the door felt thick, almost alive, humming like a heartbeat. "Hello?" he called out. "Is someone stuck in there?" No answer. He reached for the knob again, and it turned by itself. Not enough to open, just enough to show that whoever was inside was listening. A breath of cold air seeped through the crack at the bottom. It smelled like mold, and something older, something damp and rotten, like a grave that had been left open too long. Hector stepped back. "Okay, nope, I'm not doing this." He turned to leave, but the basement lights suddenly shut off. The entire room went pitch black. Hector froze. Then he heard footsteps, not his own. Soft, careful, dragging footsteps, circling him in the dark. He ran blindly, hands stretched out, trying to find the stairs. His fingers brushed cold concrete, and then something else, something wooden. The door. But it wasn't supposed to be right behind him. He felt the handle brush against his hand, and then the knocking started again, right beside his ear. Slow, heavy, deliberate. Light flooded the basement as the bulbs flickered back on. The black wooden door now stood inches from him. Hector stumbled backward with a shout. His heart hammered against his ribs. The door seemed taller now. The carved faces twisted into expressions of hunger. He bolted up the stairs, not daring to look back. For days he tried to pretend nothing happened. He avoided the basement entirely. He didn't sleep much, and when he did, he dreamed of knocking, always 3 taps. Then one night, the knocking came from inside his apartment. Hector froze on his couch. It wasn't the front door. It wasn't the bedroom door. It was coming from the bathroom. He slowly approached, hand trembling on the knob. "Please," he whispered, "please just be my imagination." He opened the door. Nothing, just his bathroom. But while he was staring at the empty room, he heard a noise behind him, wood scraping across tile. Hector turned slowly. The black wooden door now stood in the hallway, blocking his escape. The carved faces seemed to twist in anticipation. The doorknob turned, and a voice whispered from the other side, a voice that sounded exactly like Hector, but lower and hungry. "Let me out." Hector backed away until he was cornered in his bathroom with nowhere to run. The knocking grew louder, sharper, frantic, then silence. The door slowly swung open. Only darkness waited on the other side. Hector was never seen again, but tenants on the 6th floor still complain about hearing knocking late at night. From the bathrooms in their apartments. Always 3 taps, always patient, always waiting. Damien checked into the Blackwater Hotel on a cold, rainy night. He had driven 6 hours straight for a business meeting that would start early the next morning. All he wanted was a warm shower, a soft bed, and silence. The lobby was old but well kept, with burgundy carpets and gold accents that tried a little too hard to look luxurious. The clerk handed Damien a key card and said, "Room 313. Elevators are to your left." Damien took the elevator up to the 3rd floor and stepped into a quiet hallway. Dim lights flickered overhead, and the carpet muffled his footsteps. The room numbers passed by: 309, 310, 311, 312. His room was at the very end, but when he reached it, Damien paused. There were 2 doors where his room should be. The regular hotel door, white, metal, with a peephole and a keycard lock, stood on the right. But to its left was another door, touching it, sharing the same frame. A tall wooden door, dark red, old-fashioned, completely out of place in a modern hotel. Damien frowned and looked back down the hall, as if expecting someone to explain it. But the hallway was empty. He checked the room number on the normal door. 313. Correct. He glanced at the red door. No number, no handle. Just a brass keyhole and deep scratches around it. Probably some kind of utility closet, he muttered to himself, though he didn't believe it. The door felt wrong, like it didn't belong anywhere near here, or anywhere at all. He used his keycard and stepped into his room. Standard hotel layout: bed, TV, small desk, bathroom. He tried to forget about the strange 2nd door, but at 1:47 a.m., he woke up to knocking. 3 slow taps. Damien sat up, groggy. Someone must be at the door to the hallway. He dragged himself out of bed and opened it. Empty hallway. But the knocking came again, behind him. Damien turned around. The knocking was coming from inside the room, from the bathroom door. He swallowed hard. "Hello? Someone in there?" He stepped closer. The knocking continued, steady and patient. He reached out, hand trembling. The bathroom door clicked open by itself. The room was empty. Damien backed away quickly. His throat tightened, and his skin prickled with cold. He slammed the bathroom door shut and locked it. He sat on the bed for a long time, trying to calm down. Then, behind him, near the headboard, 3 taps. Damien spun around. There was now a door behind his bed. Red, wooden, carved. The same door he saw in the hallway. Its brass handle turned slowly. Damien jumped off the bed, heart hammering. He rushed for the exit, but the hotel door wouldn't open. The lock beeped red over and over. Behind him, the red door creaked open. A wave of cold air spread across the room. The lights flickered, buzzing like dying insects. Damien pressed his back against the hotel door as something stepped out of the red one. A long shadow stretched across the floor, tall, distorted, human-shaped but wrong, bent at strange angles. Damien whispered, "Please, please don't." The figure stepped into the dim light. It was Damien, but starved, hollow, eyes sunken deep into a skull-like face. Its mouth stretched too wide, splitting the cheeks. Smiling, the creature whispered, "I've been waiting for you." Damien grabbed a lamp and threw it, but the figure tilted its head in an unnatural, jerking motion, avoiding it easily. It moved closer, feet dragging like broken bones, scraping the carpet. Damien screamed and tried the door again. This time, it opened, but only because the creature let it. He ran into the hallway and sprinted for the elevator. He jabbed the button repeatedly. The doors slowly began to close, then stopped. 3 taps echoed from behind him. He turned. The red door now stood inside the elevator. The creature stepped through it. Damien was never found. Not in the elevator, not in the hotel, not anywhere. The only thing left behind was his room keycard, sitting on the hallway carpet outside room 313. Guests now complain about a new door at the end of the 3rd-floor hallway. A red door with a brass handle that wasn't there before. Maintenance tries to remove it, but every time they do, the knocking starts. 3 slow taps, waiting for someone to open it.